Hello YouTube, Slate Warrior here, and this is going to be my tournament report for the Philadelphia Regionals that I went to yesterday. And it's also going to be my deck profile of the Chaos deck that I've been showing you guys for my 100 subscriber special, being that I took that to the event. So let's get started. This was my first regional ever, and being that I don't have a locals, as you guys know, it was basically my second in real life Yu-Gi-Oh event. I went X3, and I made top 64 and got my invite to nationals. So I'm satisfied, being that I was playing a pretty rogue deck. I was playing Chaos, so it was interesting. It was fun, and I'm proud of my results. So let's start with the main deck. So we're going to be running, or I ran one BLS. So yeah, BLS is essentially the boss monster of this deck. I mean, there are lots of boss monsters, but Chaos would not be a deck without BLS. At least it wouldn't have been as successful of an idea, because BLS is a card that when it hits the board can change games. You've got the 3000 attack and the ability to attack twice, and the banish effect. The banishing monsters came in handy a lot because a lot of decks set, right? We got Burning Abyss and Shaddolls at set. And I'll talk about my matchups afterwards. But BLS was good against Shaddolls for banishing their face-down monsters so they don't get their effects. Also, it's good against cards like Winda, which my deck has a really good matchup against Shaddolls in that respect, because you can just do one special summon and then attack over the Winda or banish the Winda, and you can just continue on with your plays if you decide to banish it. So BLS was good. It was great. I saw him. This is kind of like, man, this is probably the reason that I topped, right, or top 64'd. I saw BLS 9 out of the 10 rounds. The only time I didn't see it was round 7. And I lost. I got lost 2-1 that round, but seeing BLS 9 out of 10 rounds is going to help with your success rate. So 1 BLS. Then we've got 2 Chaos Sorcerers. It's at 2, so I play 2. Another really good card for getting over Windows, because you can just banish it, or it has 2/3 attacks, so you can attack over it. It's probably smarter to banish it though, because if you banish it, then it won't get its effect. It gets its effect just when it's sent to the graveyard, I believe, to add back the fusion. And you can also attack over it if you happen to have one of the side deck cards that I'm playing. I'm playing, DD Crow. So if you have the DD Crow on the side, and if you have that in your hand, you can just summon Sorcerer, attack over the window instead of banishing it, and then DD Crow the Shaddolls fusion. Or if you're playing Skullmeister, which I was also siding that, if you have Skullmeister in your hand, you can just negate the effect of the one in the graveyard. But when you do have Chaos Sorcerer and you have a combo play after that, it's normally smarter to Chaos Sorcerer banish and then continue off, because you can keep special summoning now that the wind is gone. Chaos Sorcerer, I didn't see it in the early rounds. At the end, I saw it a little bit more. It's a 6, so it generates the rank 6 plays really easily. And if we get 3 of these, which some people are predicting, I'd be really happy about that. Also, all the 6s contribute to level 8 synchro plays with Plague. So we got triple Light Pulsar. I'd have to say that if BLS is the best card in the deck, but this is the engine. You can special summon it from the hand of the graveyard. Both of the summons are inherent, which really came in handy versus Vanity's Emptiness. These guys are inherent too. The deck, the fact that my deck has tons of inherent summons is really working out well. In testing, we noticed that I have so many inherent summons, so it's hard for them to pick a precise time to activate Vanities. The only time that's really well to activate Vanities is on a Plague top deck or a Malicious Banish. But Light Pulsar again came in handy to attack over Windows. It definitely had let me go into my extra deck. The rank 6 is the level 8, so I'm still sick, by the way. So excuse my voice and if I cough or anything like that. But 2/5. There we go. 2/5 beater that attacks over Winda. It's light in the graveyard, so you can banish it for Chaos monsters. You can discard Light Pulsar to summon Light Pulsar. That's a really good thing to do if you have a big hand. Let's say you have a Light Pulsar in your graveyard and a Light Pulsar in your hand, and just 2 more darks and another light. You can discard the Light Pulsar and one of your darks to summon the Light Pulsar from the graveyard, and you can discard the other light and dark in your hand to special summon a second Light Pulsar from your graveyard. So then you could attack for 5k if they have nothing on board. You could go into a 6, so you can do lots and lots of things. I didn't actually loop the Light Pulsar at all. I did not float Light Pulsar for Dark Flare or Red MD at all. I It just didn't come up. Ooh, actually, one more thing. I'm going to talk about this in my tournament report more. But I had 2 of these in the graveyard, right? And 1 on the field. And my opponent was playing Burning Abyss, and they Karma Cut 1. So I lost all 3 of my Light Pulsars. That sucks. Alright. 1 Dark Flare. This is more of a rank 6 turbo build than a dark, a chaos deck. Just a conventional Chaos Dragon deck. I was talking to somebody there who apparently said that my deck was called rank 6 turbo, which, that makes sense, but I thought of this pretty much completely on my own. The cards, I mean, it's not like it's a difficult deck to build, but, the specific card choices, like the fact that Malicious goes well with Light Pulsar, I didn't, take that idea from somebody. I just kind of thought of it, but Dark Flare was okay. You can, I never sided it out. I do side this out sometimes. I never sided it out. It's got 2/4, so again, you can special summon it from your hand as you're only special summoning an attack over a Winda. Winda having 2/2 attack, that's just so great for this deck, because I got the 2/3 Chaos Orcs, the 2/5 Light Pulsars, the 3K BLS, and the 2/4 Dark Flare. Also, I did use his other effect against Stellarknights to get some Light Pulsars into my grave. He's dark, so you can banish him for Chaos Monsters. Dark Armed. Dark Armed actually ran some games for me. If I had Dark Armed in my hand, whether searching it through Eclipse Wyvern or just drawing into it, I could actually just use Dark Armed to dominate some games. It's really good when you're going against Shaddolls, because if you can, summon it, then you can dominate the board with this, and you won't have to go into your extra deck, so they can't just top deck a Shaddol Fusion and blow you out with Construct. It was live a lot. There was one game in particular where I opened up with it, and it wasn't live, and that really hurt, because that was a dead card in my hand. I couldn't get the mills going. So Dark Armed is definitely a keeper in the deck. It's a level 7. I mean, if it was a 6, that would be a lot better. But it's got 2/8 attack, so I think it's honestly a little strong for a 7 even. I guess Blaster is also 2/8 attack as a 7. But yeah, Dark Armed, really good card this event. Ran some games. 1 Red MD. I always side out the Red MD. It's just not as strong as it can be because you only have 1 of them, and destruction spells and traps aren't really as prevalent this format. Torrential, Bottomless. I mean, Bottomless wouldn't matter anymore, but like Torrential, Mirror Force, Dark Hole. You used to be able to protect yourself from them by getting a Red MD and a Light Pulsar on board, but nobody's really playing Dark Hole anymore. Torrential is really bad against my deck. I got Torrential once, but it was okay because I came back from it the next turn and finished the game then. Nobody's playing Mirror Force either, so I side this out. In fact, I didn't even summon this guy. Once I banished him with Wyvern, but I forgot to add him to my hand, and that actually cost me. But yeah, I didn't summon him at all actually. Wyvern was great. Wyvern was great for searching the Dark Armed. It would have been able to search this if I wouldn't have forgot. But yeah, Wyvern was okay. I also side this out every game. That I'm siding, and I sided every game because I had a pretty good side deck for the event, in my opinion. So Wyvern was great. I never had to set it or normal summon it. I always discarded it for Light Pulsar or milled it, so that was really good that I didn't actually have to, just end up normal summoning it or setting it. That kind of sucks when you have a really bad hand like that. So Eclipse was good. Eclipse was really good. I only have 2 targets, so I only play 1. This card's terrible. Divine Dragon Apocalypse, but you have to run the 1 because you need to be able to have the discard outlet, which it is on normal summon. It's also a dark, it's a dragon, and you can get your cards from the graveyard like Dark Armed back, which is really good. It didn't actually come up. I think I top decked this once, so I just set it once. I don't actually think I activated its effect. It's also a 4, by the way. Eclipse is a 4, and then I play Lila and Raiden as 4s, so I can use that to go into Castell if I need to. Stats are weak. You don't really use it to attack. 3 Lila for backrow destruction. Gets rid of Vanity's Emptiness. It's also a mill engine in the end phase, so it's a little bit slow. But you can just it's just got a 1/7 attack stat, so you can attack over some monsters and then pop a back row in main phase 2. I actually attacked with Lila a lot. The only time I didn't attack with Lila when I summoned it actually was probably I wasn't blind MSTing the entire event, right? And then I decide to my first blind MST, and what do I hit? I hit an Artifact Ignition, so I couldn't actually attack with Lila that turn. But besides that, Lila was, you know, just attacking over monsters and then popping stuff in the main phase 2, just blind hitting stuff. So I didn't actually, I didn't use Lila to blind hit anything in that game though, because I was afraid of artifacts the whole time. Also, it's I play 3 because I need solar recharge targets. Then 3 Raiden. Raiden's good for going into Leo, because it's a 4, and I play tons and tons of 6s. I play Malicious, Light Pulsar, and Chaos Sorcerer. It's a mill in the main phase, which is really, really nice. It also mills 2 in the end phase, so it mills 4 like a JD. You can only activate 1 per turn, though, so if you have both on the board, you can only activate one of them's effect to mill 2. You can't activate both. In the end phase, they'll both activate, but the main phase. So they're lights. All the light swarms are lights. You can also discard them for solar recharge and search them with Charge of Light Brigade. It also gets up to 19, which wasn't that relevant. I think I only attacked over... yeah, my opponent had a Yamato, but they had a search with Tenki, so it wasn't even relevant that it gained attack. 2 Raikou. Everybody had been telling me before, not everybody, but a lot of people have been telling me that, you know, Raikou's bad this format, just take it out. And I stuck to my guns and I ran it. It was not the best. Could have been better. Discarding it with Solar Recharge is still always good, but you know, you can play any Light Torn in that case. It's not really much of a surprise once they see what deck you're playing. I mean, it could either be a Raikou or a Plague Spreader. That's what I always say. Those are the only things I really set. And there's just so many ways to pop it in the main phase 1, so it doesn't get its effect to destroy a card that much. It was only good in the game against... I played a game against Stellarknights where I set it instead of recharging it because I figured my opponent would side in some floodgates because Stellarknights can do that. So I set it instead of using it with recharge, and my opponent did attack into it, and I got to pop their defissure that they activated in the main phase 1, which was probably smart because if my monster that I had set was not a Raikou, then it would just get sent to the graveyard, or it would get banished instead of getting sent to the graveyard. But it was a Raikou, so I got to pop the defissure, and the ruling that we went with was that the mill afterwards did go to the graveyard. So I might be swapping these out for errands. It's just really good because everything's setting this format, even Rogue sets. So, you know, if you got like, if you're playing a deck with hands in it. So 2 Raikou might become 2 Aaron. Double Troop to 2, so I play 2. It was great. It was amazing, the event. Round 2, I actually activated his effect, right? And my opponent chained Breakthrough skill, so I got the mills, and he didn't gain attack, but that was a misplay by my opponent. Card Trooper was really good at attacking for game, as well as getting my mills set up. The draw effect, by the way, somebody thought that it's mandatory, first of all, but somebody thought that it was only if it gets destroyed by battle. It's battle or card effect, so they destroyed it by card effect, and they didn't expect me to get the draw, but I had them read it, and of course, I do get the draw. It's the only non-light or dark monster that I play. It's just because I need to get the mills. It's just too good. I really wish Machine Dupe would go to 1 or something so they could put this back to 3. Tour Guide 1. 1 Tour Guide is pretty controversial. Basically, I can Tour Guide into the Kree Bandit that I play to go into a rank 3. If it's first turn, I go into Dante. If it's late game, I go into Levier. It's as simple as that. I've never drawn it dead. I also realized that at the event, this is so scrubby of me, right? But Tour Guide can summon from the hand, so if I drew the Kree Bandit, I can totally summon it from the hand, so. Tour Guide, Kree Bandit. If I draw Tour Guide and Kree Bandit, I can either Tour Guide into Kree Bandit and then go into a rank 3, or I can just Kree Bandit and get my mills. I Kree Bandit a lot. It was always pretty good. It was always really good, actually. I mean, one game I was at a loss for dark monsters in the grave, or light monsters, I'm sorry. I had too many darks. I didn't have any lights in the grave, so I Kree Bandit it, and I ended up milling enough lights to OTK, so that was really good. Three Plague. 3 Plague Spreader Zombie. Okay, so Plague is really, really good with its interactions with Malicious, of course, because you can top deck and then shuffle whatever you had top decked into the deck with Banish of Malicious. Plague is also really good to go into 8s with Light Pulsar or Chaos Orc. You can use Chaos Orc's effect to banish, then go into an 8, get another effect. You can also use it with Dark Flare to go into Black Rose. You can, I don't know, it was really good. You can use it with like a level 4 monster, besides Raiden, to go into Vulcan. I didn't play Goyo, and I'm glad I didn't play Goyo. I never had a position in which I wanted to go into Goyo. I didn't actually go into Vulcan in the event either. Play was pretty good. 3 Malicious. Malicious is amazing. My opponent chained Vanities to him once. It's whatever. I had the other one in my hand. I had one in my deck, one in my grave, one in my hand, so I discarded the one from my hand, and I got the effect anyway after I got rid of the Vanities, so wasn't a big deal. Malicious and Plague are 2 of the non-inherent special summons in my deck. That's pretty much it. Everything else in my deck summons inherently. So, like I said, I had a really good matchup against people main decking Vanity's Emptiness, which was a lot of people. I didn't see it that much, though, because, like I said, everything's inherent, so they didn't have a really good chance to flip it, but yeah, Malicious was great. I don't think I milled multiples of Malicious any time, because I normally banish it right after I mill it, just in case, even if I just want to sit on it. So I can sit on defense mode, block, and attack. I just never want to banish both, because, or I never want to mill both, right? Because then they're just all dead. It's better to thin the deck by 1, get the defense up. It's also good with Plague, and it's also good with Light Pulsar and Chaos Sorcerer to go into 6s, rank 6s. Also, you can normal summon Veiler, right? If you normal summon Veiler, when you have a 6 on board, you can go into Black Rose, which is really nice. I did that once. Speaking of Veiler, 2 Veilers. Veiler was amazing. I hit some Mathematicians. I hit an Armageddon Knight. I hit tons of things with Veiler. Veiler was great. I sided it out versus Shaddolls artifacts because the artifacts activate on my turn. So. But it was pretty good. It's a level 1 tuner, which really came in handy. It's a light, so, milling it isn't that bad. It's just great. It's good. It's easy fodder to banish for a Chaos Monster. Drag. 1. I had 2 a while ago. Cut it down to 1. I believe for Raiden, when Raiden came out, I had to cut out Trag. So I don't believe I didn't summon Trag at all. I sided it out every game. At least every game that I was siding 4 more cards. I sided out Divine Dragon Apocalypse, Eclipse Wyvern, and Red MD every game, and then if I need a 4th card, which I often did, I sided out Trag. I never summoned Trag, but Trag is good in this deck because you can copy levels, and you can get really big hands, so you can just sit on Trag for a little bit. Gores? Gores was okay. I sided it out occasionally. If I was siding in Decree, of course I sided out Gores. Gores' token never really comes into play for synchro plays. You can normal summon a Veiler if you want to, and make an 8, which does happen. It didn't happen at the event. But I like the Gores because I don't run any back row. The only thing I ever say is MST. And like I said, if I'm siding into Decree, I obviously am siding out the Gores. But I summoned Gores 2 or 3 times, and he could just attack over some stuff. But attacking over burning abyss monsters isn't really that good. So Gores was okay. Charge Light Brigade lets me search my Lightsworns. I can search one to pitch it for Solar Recharge, so I search one that I don't want to actually have in my hand. So for instance, if I have, let's say I already have like a Raiden in my hand, I can charge the Light Brigade for a Raikou, and then instead of discarding the Raiden for Solar Recharge, I can discard the Raikou because I don't want to have to draw the Raikou later. If I have no Lightsworns in my hand, I can charge the Light Brigade for like a Raikou if I don't want it. As long as I have like a Solar Recharge, and if I don't have a Solar Recharge, I can charge a Light Brigade for a Lilah if they have back row, or a Raiden if I need to get my mills going, or if I can make Leo that turn. Charge the Light Brigade was great. I mean, if this card went to multiples, my deck would be crazy good, dude. Triple Solar Recharge. Solar Recharge was amazing. It's the draw engine of the deck, and beside that and Card Trooper, I guess you can get it floats for a card in your hand. So I don't remember drawing it dead that often. I think it sat in my hand for a really long time once, but I won that game anyway. So Solar Recharge is really good. I play 8 targets, 8 discard Lightsworn monsters. And if I side out a Lightsworn, I didn't at the event, but if I side out a Lightsworn monster, I always side out 1 recharge, just in case. Triple MST. MST is for Vanities. MST is for Floodgates Game 2 and Game 3. I didn't blind MST pretty much at all until the when I hit the Ignitions. That kind of sucked, but yep, MST is MST. No traps because traps are too slow. So that is 7 spells and 33 monsters for the main deck. So, is that off? Slate Warrior, my deck master. So, yeah. I just put Slate Warrior on the table on top of my extra deck face down. Or face up, but the extra deck was face down, so, you know. Whatever. One Beals. People have been telling me to play 2. Beals isn't good against Deep Prison, which I thought might appear at the event. I don't actually think I saw Deep Prison, but Beals is most of the time is my first level 8 synchro to come out, unless I need, like, if I'm being offensive, or not offensive, but if I'm just like, if I'm being reactive to something they do, I will use something else. But if I'm just setting up a board myself, I'll use Beals, because Beals is, you know, one of the best all-around level 8s that I have access to. One Black Rose. You can make it with Plague and Dark Flare. You can make it with, you can make it with Plague and Dark Flare. You can make it with Valor and any of my 6s. I run 2 Valor. I don't side deck the 3rd. I might actually want to think about side decking the 3rd Valor at some point. But you know, for Stellarknights. But Black Rose Dragon. I think I used it. I used it at least once. I used it to get rid of a Leo, which actually won me a game because he exhausted all his resources to make the Leo because he didn't think I had an out to it. But luckily I had 6 to summon. I think I summoned a Light Pulsar from my hand and a normal summon Valor. Got rid of Black Rose. Got rid of him with Black Rose, yep. Later. Summoned it against Shaddolls once. That was it. It's, you know, it's in the deck for any Synchro deck or Shaddolls. It's a good card. I didn't see any Yang Zing. I saw tons of Shaddolls. And I only made it once. And it locked him down for a turn. I'm not sure if he had the fusion in his hand or not. But it's okay. It's an okay card. I mean, you got to play it if you're running 8s. I think you got to play it. So I didn't see it that much, but when I did see it, it could have helped. 2-8 beater's not that bad either, and 2-6 defense. It's really high stats. I made Dark End a lot. Dark End is really good for getting rid of stuff that gets effects when it's like destroyed or something. It also is really good for getting rid of windows because it sends to the graveyard. The attack loss isn't that big of a deal because a lot of decks just rely on having 1 monster on board, so if you can get rid of that monster, they won't have anything that can attack over it anyway. You can also still attack with this, of course, that turns, you know. It's an old card. I'm sure you guys all know how it works. So it's 2/6/2/1. Once per turn, you can send a monster to the graveyard, and then it loses 500 attack and defense. So you can do that, you know, up to 4 turns. You can only, it's a once per turn thing, but it was really good against Windows, because Windows can't be destroyed by card effects. So I made it a lot. Hot Red. I made it once. It did its job. I mean, it's okay. I'm going to keep it in the deck, but it's really good against Rogue, because if they have a big board, you can just, you know, get rid of it, but it's not that good against meta right now because everything floats. 3000 body, too. Leo was great. Leo is a 10. You can go into it with Raiden and any of your 6s. That's the only way I ever make it. I might have done this. I know I should have done this in one of the games, but I was playing Burning Abyss, and I had BLS and a set Plague. I should have flipped Plague and made Leo with BLS in case he had the rank up magic to go into Pleiades. He did it with the rank up magic, and I ended up losing that game because BLS just got bounced to my hand, and I was stunned for 2 turns. So you can go into this with an 8 if you make a level 8 Synchro or BLS and Plague, but the most common way you're going to go into this is Raiden and any of your 6s, just because you have access to 6s so often. But Leo's great. Leo's great. Leo's like a lot of decks don't even have an out to this. Scrap. Scrap was decent. I mean, he is decent. I don't know. I didn't go into him, which is crazy because the combo is really Scrap Beals, right? You have a Plague in hand and a Malicious Engrave. You normal summon the Plague, you banish the Malicious, and then you can make. If you keep going off from there, you can make 2 level 8s. The common combo is to go into Beals and Scrap, because you can use Scrap effect, target your Beals, won't get destroyed, and you can pop a card. I didn't do that once, which I do that all the time on Dueling Network, so I never actually made him. Stardust. Made him a couple times. I make him as my first Synchro if my opponent has a lot of back row. I made him against Artifacts for Morale Talk. I actually negated a Morale Talk with him. 2/5 body, you know what Stardust is, so. Never made Vulcan, but I still like Vulcan over stuff like Gores or HTS Sahimuth because, or not Gores, Goyo. I select Vulcan over Goyo or HTS Ahimuth because Vulcan is removal in the main phase. So you can remove, if you have a face-up, whatever, if you have a card super that you don't need, or like a defense position Lila, you can bounce that, bounce your opponent's Winda, and get in for some damage. It's 2k body, not that bad. It also has amazing art. Not that that's relevant, but that rounds up the synchros. I think I play 9. 9 synchros, 1 6, 7 8s, and 1 10. For the Exceeds, Castell. My only 4, never went into him, but he's I don't know if he's gonna stay in the deck really. Because it's 2 level 4s generic, and it was cheaper than 101. That's why I actually got this one. But I mean, he's better than 101 in some situations. So I like Castell in the deck. I can't think of any 4 that I'd replace it with, but I might not need a 4 because you don't have the opportunity to go into 4s that often, because all of your 4s, the only way you can summon them is normal summon. So if one of your 4s survives a turn, which it probably won't against the speed of the decks today, you can normal summon another 4 and make this. Plus I side out 2 4s every game. I side out Eclipse and Bakalith. M7 was really good for getting back BLS from the graveyard. It's also really good for bouncing set Shaddolls monsters, which I went into M7 just to bounce a set Shaddolls tons and tons of times. Like, M7 was MVP this tournament. I mean, BLS was the real MVP because I saw him 9 out of 10 rounds, but M7 helped me with that. M7 helped me get BLS back out of the graveyard. A lot of times I just really BLS though, so M7 is really easy to go into in this deck. He's also a 2/7 body, so once you bounce that card, you can hit for a lot of damage. Dante, I went into him once. He got compulsed, but he's essentially a card trooper with more attack, and then he goes into defense. He does float for Burning Abyss monster, which I don't play, but I'd have to say that I'm going to keep Dante in there because if you open Tour Guide, you can get the Kree Bandit from the deck and just have a mill engine going right away. And he's also a 2/5 attacker, which when you're attacking for game, you need high attack monsters, and he's a rank 3. Which gets up to only 200 less attack than this rank 6, so it's a big deal. Gauntlet Launcher. Gauntlet Launcher is for Rogue. Gauntlet Launcher is for when your opponent has a board of stuff that doesn't float, which is really hard to see in this format. I'm not sure if I went into Gauntlet Launcher at all, but he can pop 2 monsters. His effect is once per turn. I think I went into Gauntlet Launcher once against a Rogue deck, actually. I only played 1 Rogue, and Gauntlet Launcher was good against that Rogue deck. I never went into Leviair because I never got Tour Guide late game, or I never had the opportunity to summon Tour Guide late game. Oftentimes, late game, the game's already been decided whether you're going to win or lose. But Leviair can get back, as you've seen in my 100 subscriber special, like a Plague when you have like a Dark Flare on board and you can make Black Rose. So, or if you have a Dark Flare in hand, I guess you can summon the Dark Flare. Bouncer was okay. I didn't make him that often. My M7 was my go-to rank 6 today, or yesterday, but Bouncer's a really good card. 27 body as well. It doesn't destroy when it negates a monster's effect, which really sucks, but it's also a light, so you can use it in the graveyard for BLS and other chaos monsters. Token for Gores. So that rounds out the extra deck. I've got 9 synchros and 6 Exceeds. Side deck. 2 Cycle Readers. Bujins, Stellarknights, Lightsworn. It was really good against Stellarknights. My opponent soul charged, and I had the Cycle Reader to banish both of their targets, and that was actually all the Stellarknights that had in graveyard, so they couldn't Altair later. Double DD Crow. DD Crow is good again for Soul Charge, so you can side it in. Also, it's really good against Artifacts, which I saw 2 decks that were playing Artifacts, in which I could just banish the Moral Talk before it could summon itself. It was also good against Burning Abyss, because there's the one that special summons from the graveyard, so DD Crow is decent. 2 Skullmeister. This is a card that had some hype a little bit ago. It negates graveyard effects by discarding itself. So it's a quick effect. It can be used in the damage step, which is really important because you can hit like Burning Abyss monsters. Also, you can hit any Shaddolls when it's using its second effect. And I sided it in versus Shaddolls and Burning Abyss. Thunder King, I sided it in once. I sided it in versus Stellarknights to stop the Deneb and the Rhoda, and actually the guy was playing dualities, so the duality as well. I opened it. It was great. I opened it with Decree, so it was a great way to lock down a Stellarknight player. Double Nobleman. My basic sideboard for Shaddolls was Nobleman and Skullmeister, because Noblemen can banish their face down Shaddolls, and then they have to banish all of them from the deck, and you get to deck check them, which is kind of nice. I guess technically mismatched rarities are different colors, but whatever. Duelist League, I like it, but it was very, very good, the event. I only ever used it on Shaddolls. I think I did it 3 times. I think I hit Falcos twice, which is fine with me because they only play 1 Falco, but it's also their tuner. It's their access to a lot of their extra deck. Two Twister. Never sided them in. I mean, it's for mirrors and stuff, but like not mirror matches, like light mirrors and shadow mirrors. But I don't know. I'm gonna drop these probably for. I might put the Rykos, move the Rykos to the sideboard. I might side the 3rd Veiler. I don't know. Xyz Encore is there for Evil Storm, which I didn't see. I did face Stellarknights, and I never sided in versus my Stellar matchup. I might actually increase this to 2 because Twister's just not cutting it, so I might actually increase to 2. Finally, Triple Decree. Sided it in twice against Burning Abyss and Stellarknights, and against Stellarknights I opened it, which was really nice. I also bluff set a 2nd Decree, which was actually a solar recharge, so, you know, I had a Decree and a face down. In case he got over the 1st Decree, he'd be scared of the 2nd one when he activated a trap that turn, so. Decree is amazing for my deck. I don't want to main it because I feel like I can win just by clearing out the back row with the MSTs or the Lilas. I don't think I want to wait a turn and then set the Decree to lock out my opponent's back row when I can just clear it with MST. I do normally blind MST a lot, but I expected to see pretty much tons of Vanities here. Maybe the reason that I never saw Vanities with the Burning Abyss and Stellar Knight games is because I had Decree. My opponent, which was playing Stellar Knights, never drew their MST, even though they didn't side them out. And my opponent that was playing Burning Abyss, they kind of, you know, didn't need to worry about the Decree because even though they were playing a lot of traps, they generated advantage so fast. So that's the whole side deck. 15, of course, 3 traps, 5 spells, 7 monsters. These are all dark. This is a light. So, you know, that goes with the whole chaos plan.